Git, and by extension GitHub, is a very powerful version control tool made for the developers of software and websites. There's a reason they have become industry standards, as they ensure the safety and efficiency of your development process, especially when working in groups. Version control is basically saving the current iteration of your project, or repository as GitHub calls it. So if something happens, like for example you accidentally delete something vital to your repository, or your power goes out while you're working on your project and it corrupts your project, you can essentially travel back to your last commit, which is a snapshot of your repository or project. GitHub is strong for collaborators, as these commits or snapshots are not only there for you, but for any collaborators you decide to add to your project, which you can give varying levels of control. GitHub also allows you to create branches, which are essentially alternate versions of your project for testing out new features or creating a variation of your project for slightly different purposes. The difference between Git is that Git is the underlying code that you have to use the command prompt or shell to use, whereas GitHub provides servers for you to host your Git projects on instead of storing them on your computer, as well as a more friendly user interface. Git has been used for a variety of projects, from websites to games and software, but I would like to highlight the FOSS, free and open source, projects that have been made using GitHub. Free and open source essentially means that the software is free to use, even for personal use, as well as the code being public. So any modifications you'd like to make to your own version of the software are free to make, as long as you have the technical know-how. GitHub allows these projects to employ crowdsourcing when a computer science project is developed by volunteering masses instead of a company or an individual, due to the feature of pull requests, when someone writes a change to the code and proposes it, which then has to be approved by someone with the proper authority. Which means free and open source software can get frequent updates without putting a large strain on any one individual. There are many excellent free and open source software, but I would like to highlight Godot and Blender specifically. Godot is an open source game engine used by many independent game developers and studios, as well as being a great option for people with weaker computers or people who are newer to game development, due to its relative simplicity compared to many other game engines and its optimization running on lower-end devices. Godot is capable of developing 2D, 3D, and virtual reality games, and it's improving at an exponential rate as it gets better, and therefore more people use it and feel inclined to contribute to it. But one question you might have is, how do we make our 3D or even 2D assets for the games we make in Godot? Why, Blender, of course. It's a one-stop shop for 3D modeling, texturing, rendering, and animation. There are alternatives that are capable of doing similar things, but Blender doesn't rob you to make a flipping donut. God forbid I want to use a 3D modeling software without selling my soul to the Dark Lord to afford it. Nobody's that cruel, though, right? So how is Git created? The developers of the operating system, Linux, were using a DVCS, distributed version control system, called BitKeeper. And because of their relationship with BitKeeper, but this relation broke down, so they decided to make their own DVCS, and so we have Git. Computer science not only helped this invention, but it was made with computer science for computer scientists. In conclusion, Git and GitHub were a powerful tool that allows developers to cooperate with ease and ensure the safety of their project, that has given way to excellent free and open source, or FOSS, projects like Blender and Godot, that was created out of a necessity for the development of Linux.